APEC will be a good opportunity for the two presidents to create a more constructive tone for the relationship. Presidents Biden and Xi have a lot of experience meeting one-on-one, which started when they were both serving as vice presidents. In China, we have seen power and authority become more concentrated at the top of the political system, which means it's more important now for President Xi to hear directly from President Biden. A productive meeting between the two leaders can also provide important signaling or political top cover to the Chinese bureaucracy to continue engaging with U.S. counterparts on a range of complex issues that require sustained communication. On the U.S. side, I think President Biden will want to take the opportunity of meeting with President Xi to exchange perspectives on important global issues. A lot has happened in the world since the two leaders met 1 year ago on the margins of the G20 in Bali. They will talk about the ongoing war in Ukraine and the crisis in the Middle East. With regard to the new crisis between Israel and Gaza, both sides have a lot of stake in seeing the conflict doesn't spread. And I think President Biden will urge President Xi to use his influence over Iran to prevent that kind of escalation. In terms of key bilateral issues in the relationship, President Biden will want to gain President Xi's cooperation on limiting fentanyl precursor chemicals exports, which have contributed to more than 70,000 annual fentanyl overdoses in the United States. Other areas of discussion could include beginning a process to identify existential risks related to military uses of artificial intelligence, efforts to strengthen people-to-people ties, and joint efforts to mitigate climate change. President Biden will also push to revive and strengthen military-to-military dialogues, given the increased risks of inadvertent collisions or accidents in the Western Pacific. On the Chinese side, we can expect President Xi to press his American counterpart to reverse U.S. export controls, sanctions, tariffs, and investment restrictions. The Chinese leader may also seek to create a positive image of China as a destination for foreign investment, to help revive China's sluggish post-COVID economy. But one of the most important goals on the Chinese side will be for the Chinese leader to be seen by Chinese audiences as having received a warm and respectful welcome in the United States. Positive optics surrounding Xi's visit at APEC will be used to reinforce his public image at home in China and around the world as a global statesman. While several issues in the relationship may remain intractable, from trade tensions to technology to security issues, there are a number of areas where the two presidents may be able to reach some agreements. The two sides could agree, for example, to revitalize people-to-people exchanges following the downturn in travel during the COVID-19 pandemic. As it stands now, there are only 350 American students studying in China. That's down from 15,000 a decade ago. Many American business people, scholars, and NGO employees have been reluctant to travel to China given the tightening security environment in the country. It would be a positive outcome if the two presidents could reach some understanding of ways to strengthen people-to-people exchanges in non-sensitive areas. Second, on artificial intelligence, U.S. officials have expressed concern regarding existential and safety risks associated with AI, especially regarding the interplay between AI and nuclear command and control systems. The two presidents may be able to agree to keep a human in the loop in nuclear command and control and task their defense officials with engaging in follow-on dialogues on the military-related risks of AI as an outcome of their meeting at APEC. Finally, on climate change, sustainability will be a key issue on the APEC agenda. The U.S. and China have a special responsibility to contribute to global decarbonization efforts, given the fact that they are the two largest economies and carbon emitters. The two presidents may be able to commit to enhance their cooperation in accelerating joint efforts to mitigate climate change. While the Biden-Xi meeting may help to put a floor under relations, there are a number of issues in 2024 that could weaken or break that floor. The first risk is related to the recent uptick in risky and unsafe encounters between the PLA and U.S. aircraft and ships in the Western Pacific. The Department of Defense recently disclosed intelligence citing over 200 cases of risky maneuvers conducted by the PLA. If one of these maneuvers were to result in an inadvertent collision or an accident, it could have the potential to create a significant crisis in U.S.-China relations. Another potential obstacle is the January 2024 presidential elections in Taiwan. Both the U.S. and China are watching the Taiwan election closely. Beijing has expressed concerns regarding the DPP presidential candidate, Lai Ching-te, the vice president to the current Taiwan president, Tsai Ing-wen. And Beijing could react negatively to a DPP victory. The third issue is the upcoming U.S. presidential election. The election could create a dynamic in which President Biden or other candidates use rhetoric that is perceived in China to be undermining the recent progress made in U.S.-China relations. Ultimately, it's my hope that the two leaders have a chance in San Francisco to have a more forward-looking conversation on how the two countries can better manage the growing differences in the bilateral relationship. I expect strategic competition and rivalry between the U.S. and China to continue to intensify. And so it will be important for the two leaders to continue the discussion they started in Bali 1 year ago around exploring principles and operating mechanisms for managing the growing competition and rivalry. Reestablishing high-level official dialogue and creating new working groups and dialogue mechanisms are important. But there is much more that needs to be done in this regard, and the two leaders in San Francisco should seize the opportunity to deepen the discussion on these kinds of important efforts.